So as you know, I've looked at a lot of different outdoor cameras on this channel. Fixed cameras, pan tilt cameras, and today we're gonna look at something I feel is truly unique in the outdoor camera space. This camera has some of the advantages of a pan tilt or wide angle camera, but without the distortion and control issues. The camera we're looking at today is part of a larger series of cameras by ReoLink that give you a variety of options for connectivity and power. Today we're gonna look at the ReoLink Duo PoE 2K Power over Ethernet outdoor camera. So basically this is two cameras built into one housing. Now this gives you an advantage because this allows you to have multiple angles coming from one camera with one connection to your network or power supply. This allows you to have 150 degrees of coverage without any distortion or needing to move the camera around. Now ReoLink actually has a series of cameras in the same category. Now in their Duo series of cameras, they will have 4 offerings of different models. So this is the Duo PoE, which is of course power over Ethernet. There isn't any Wi-Fi on this one, so the only options you have on this camera are to send the data over Ethernet, and you can either power it over PoE or with a power adapter. Now they also have the Duo Wi-Fi, which is similar to this camera, except for it swaps out the power over Ethernet for a dual 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. Now that unit is only powered over a power adapter, so a DC wall outlet, but you get the flexibility of being able to communicate with it wirelessly. And then finally, they have the other 2 cameras in the Duo series. Now these are both battery powered, which means that you can either recharge them by bringing them in or connecting them to a power adapter, or you can charge them with solar. Now these come in 2 variants. One, the Wi-Fi, which is that same dual 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, or coming soon is a 4G model. Now this will allow you to place this camera in a location that you do not have Wi-Fi coverage. So this will be great for a vacation home or a remote cabin somewhere where you want to be able to charge it off of solar, but also be able to still watch it remotely and keep an eye on your property. Now what these all have in common is the dual 2K cameras, which give you a resolution up to 2860 by 1440. And we'll see some examples of that footage later on in the video. So in the box, you'll find some common accessories. In addition to the camera, you'll get a mounting arm, mounting hardware, a template for the mounting arm, a screwdriver, an Ethernet cable, and the waterproof boot for the Ethernet cable. One nice addition is the mounting bracket can be used either on the top or the bottom of the camera. So there are 1/4-20 mounts on either one. So you can use the included mounting arm, or if you have a better setup, you can use that as long as it's got a 1/4-20 mount, which is the standard for all tripods. Now, of course, this camera is IP66 rated, which means that you can place it outdoors without any worry of having any damage to the camera due to weather. In addition to the infrared emitters on the front of the camera, there are an additional 8 high-intensity white LED spotlights that are controllable within the app or can be automated with motion. Now, on the bottom of the camera, you'll find a sealed access door, which contains the micro SD slot, which can take up to 128 gigabyte micro SD card. And also there's the reset button for the camera. Now this is super nice because if you have this thing wired up, you don't want to have to go finding the end of the plug to unplug it, or some cameras will have actually a pigtail, or part of the pigtail will have the reset button in it. And this is nice because you don't have to have an extra piece hanging off the camera if you need to reset the camera in the event that it locks up. Now on the back of the camera, you'll find the QR code, which is necessary to set the camera up when it's not connected to your network. So now that we've taken a high-level look at the camera and what comes in the box, let's get this mounted on the side of my house, and then we'll go through the application and I'll show you some of the additional features that come with it. All right, so now we're back outside. We finally got some nice clear weather. We can get this camera installed. Now I'm not gonna do a full installation video because I've already done one of those about how to install an outdoor camera, which you can find in the card above. But a couple of notes on this installation. One is I had to get rid of my old power over Ethernet adapter. It doesn't provide enough power for the ReoLinks, and so I had to switch to one of these power over Ethernet switches. This is a 8-port, where only 4 of the ports are power over Ethernet. This is a reasonable managed switch for about $65. We're gonna use this instead of the power adapter, and then we'll be able to connect the camera to that, and we should be off and running. All right, so now that we've taken a look at the camera, what its features are, and how to get it installed, let's take a look at the application. Now the ReoLink application will function without being logged in, which is really nice. A couple of different options on how the home screen looks. So one of the neat things about the display of the camera is you can have it either in a blended mode like this or as 2 separate cameras. I like the blended mode because you can see a full layout of the image. So as you can see here, you can see both cameras covering my driveway and my front yard. So from a glance, I can immediately see if there's anybody up front running around in front of my house. Then if you click on it, it'll take you into the actual camera view. So you can then manipulate different things like quality or some of the settings and see some details. So from here, you have the option of talking, which does a two-way audio where I can speak and then I can hear myself on the other end. You have the option of selecting playback. Now I do have a micro SD card installed on here, and you can set it up for 24/7 recording, which is pretty nice. Now the playback, since it's set up in 24/7, will show you every single bucket of hours. I think it chops them up by every hour, but it will also show you in the corner whether or not it detected motion, a person, or a vehicle. It's one of the cool features of this camera is it has onboard detection of people and vehicles. So you can see here as I scroll through, there isn't anything, but if I go back to yesterday, it'll load in and show me when the kids are playing in the yard or if a car comes in or out of the driveway. So you can kind of shuffle through your timeline by using this little slider down here, and you'll see the little dot indicates actual just regular motion. Then there's a person, which if the AI detects a person in the frame, it'll show that display. Or if there's a car, you'll see the little car symbol show up, which is really nice to be able to scrub through your timeline very quickly and find out the specific thing you're looking for. Right now I can go back about a week on mine to see, I don't have a very big SD card in there, I think it's only 64 gigs, but you can put up to 128 gigabytes if you want to have longer storage. So back on the main screen here, and then at the bottom you have some options. You can pause the frame. You can turn on or off the audio by clicking the audio icon. I can hear the birds chirping outside right now. You can take a snapshot, which will save both cameras to your camera roll, so you can send it. Same thing with the video, you can have it record an individual video to send out. Then there's a quality setting where you can set it to different qualities. So if you're on, say, a mobile connection and you don't want to stream full quality, or if you really want to zoom in and see the high quality 2K image, you can change that to a higher resolution. So I could actually click and zoom on one of these cameras. You can see the quality of the image just by pinching to zoom. You can also force it to rotate, so that way you can get a better wide angle picture by clicking this button down here. So at the top of the screen, you'll see a little alarm icon. Now that alarm icon will actually set off the built-in siren on the camera, so use that at your own caution. Then next to that is the spotlight, which as I talked about before, it has an 8 LED spotlight on board. You could trigger in the app, or you can have it trigger if there's motion within the boundaries of the camera, and you can change that motion area, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then you have day and night mode, which will allow you to change the colors of the application between day and night. Most applications have that these days. We'll click on the settings icon and we'll go into the actual settings for the application. So here at the top, you have the settings for the camera. So this is where you can identify the IP address, the version number, firmware, that sort of thing. You can customize the name of the camera if you have more than one. You can see the storage and format it from here. See the network information, MAC address, DNS information, all that good stuff, which is very important if you're going to connect it to Home Assistant, which I'll show you here at the end of the video. Upgrade device, where you can upgrade the firmware if there's a firmware update available. And then all the build information. If you happen to have to contact support, the build information will be super critical for that. So on display, you can change some of the settings as far as brightness, positions of the watermarks, turning timestamps on and off if you want to. You can also have it sync the brightness levels between the two cameras. Now in my case, you'll notice my image on one camera is slightly more purple than the other ones, and that's because the white balance is different on the two cameras, and it's something I just need to tweak. Now they do have a desktop application that you can log into where you can do more advanced tweaking on the camera's image settings. You can change the volume of how loud the camera speaker is. Now the detection zone is nice because you can block out certain areas. Now if you look here, the gray area is everywhere that I have currently blocked out where I don't want to see motion. So that tree that's in the frame, I don't want to detect motion there. Really the sidewalk, I don't want to detect motion because I don't want to record people as they just walk by or drive by. So it allows you to paint the area or areas you want to either detect or not detect in. So we go to the second camera, you'll see I have pretty much the entirety of the front of the house, driveway and sidewalk painted in so I can actually see them, detect motion in those areas. You can also change the overall motion sensitivity and the smart detection for both people and vehicles. So if you happen to have the camera far away and you're not getting vehicle detection, you can turn this up to make it more sensitive, or if you're detecting every vehicle in the world and you don't want that, you can turn it down. Same thing with people. So under camera recording, this is where we determine what type of recording we place on the SD card. So we can set it up for a time of the day or alarm based. So if you wanted to have this 24/7, you could set it to on the timer to be recording all the time. I have mine just trigger based on motion. And you can set the schedule where if you don't want it to record at a certain time of day and how long after the motion you want to continue to record. And then the bottom check mark will allow you to overwrite the SD card. If you run out of space, it'll just cycle through the old stuff, delete those out. Now, under notification settings, you have the ability to have push notifications sent to your phone, and you can customize the type of notifications you get. So if you only want to get, so you can set certain times of the day that you only want to get vehicle notifications or only person notifications or all motion. So again, you can customize this to your heart's content. You can also get them sent to you via email. One of the things I know a lot of people ask me about these various cameras are, can you use FTP? Now this camera can send data to an FTP server, which is pretty nice. This is something the Wyze cameras and EasyViz cameras cannot do. So you can configure an FTP server and have it periodically upload footage to your FTP server if you want to do that. Now, in addition, this camera does support RTSP natively, so you can have that stream sent directly to whatever you want, say Blue Iris, Motion, or even Home Assistant. Now finally, you can also have it set to set off the siren if there's motion. Now, it's not something that you want to do unless it's in a secluded area that you don't expect a lot of motion in. And then under the advanced settings, you can enable or disable things like audio recording, whether the spotlights turn on and off automatically, and how the infrared lights react. Plus you can add additional users if you want to give them access. So I did show a few examples of footage here in the video. If you'd like to see more, I've got a few example clips in the blog post if you want to play them on your own and dig through and look at the quality. I have clips from both daytime and night if you want to take a look at that. Plus you can see from either the camera that's in front of the tree or the camera that's looking over the driveway. Now, this is capable of being connected to Home Assistant, which I know a lot of people on my channel and me especially love to have that capability. You will need to install a plugin via Hacks, and I've got links to all of that in the blog post. It's pretty simple. Once you get it set up, you just need to point it to the IP address of the camera, which you can find in the app, log in with the username and password you set up, and you'll get native integration into Home Assistant. So that means you'll get the camera streams from both cameras and the ability to control things like notifications, emails, FTP uploads, infrared lights, the whole shebang. So it's pretty nice to have that type of native integration into Home Assistant. I don't find myself using the app all that much. Once I get it configured, I just jump into Home Assistant and I can check on the streams from there. Now to finish things up, let's talk about who this camera is for. Now, this camera is obviously a great outdoor camera for homeowners. This particular version with Power over Ethernet is going to be good for folks who already have a Power over Ethernet switch in their house, something accessible where they can run cables up through the attic or down through conduit on the outside of their house. Obviously, this is going to be great for a place where you want a rock solid connection, where you want that video that's not going to go out, it's not going to drop if Wi-Fi happens to get interference or things like that. So this is going to be great for covering things like driveways or front of houses or any other entrances front or back of your house. What this is not going to be good for is people who do not happen to have all that extra wiring. Somebody who's not going to want to run a dedicated network connection back to their switch. If that's you, you might want to look into one of the Wi-Fi versions of this camera. Now, overall, I think this is a great camera for the price point. Now, of course, this can be more expensive than some of the lighter cameras like the Wyze or even the EasyViz line cameras. This is starting to get more into the professional level of cameras. I think ReoLink is one of those high-end brands. It's not the same as like Axis or one of those like professional brands, but I do think it's a high-quality brand and it's going to get you something that's going to be long-lasting. I've had this camera up for a few months and I love it. I don't think I'm going to be changing my front camera anytime soon. I hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions on the camera, please feel free to leave them in the comments below or go ahead and jump on our Discord. I want to thank ReoLink again for sending me this camera. I know it's been a few months since they sent me the camera, but I appreciate their patience. Now, if you did find this video useful, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. That helps push the video out for more people to help educate them if they are looking for a good outdoor camera. Now, if you'd like to see more videos on smart home cameras, please click on the playlist right up here. And if you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to our channel by clicking our logo right here. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next video.